Did you know that statistically, you're more likely to be seriously injured driving to a game than being hit by a loose ball or colliding with another fan? But when American sports turn deadly, they don't just claim individual lives. They annihilate entire teams, devastate communities, and leave scars that last generations. What you're about to discover about the 3 most devastating sports tragedies in American history will completely shake your perception of how quickly athletic glory can turn into unimaginable horror. Listen, you sit in those stadium seats every Sunday, cheering for your team, buying expensive nachos, completely trusting that everyone will make it home safely. You cheer when your quarterback throws a touchdown, high-five strangers when your team scores. You live for those moments of pure athletic magic. But you never truly considered the terrifying moments when American sports became a matter of life and death. While you worry about your team's loss, debate draft picks, or argue over refereeing decisions, there have been moments in our sporting history when entire communities lost everything that mattered to them in a single devastating moment. This isn't just sad news. These are the events that forever changed how we view sports safety, team travel, and the fine line between athletic triumph and absolute tragedy. Are you enjoying these shocking stories? If you want to see more mind-blowing sports content like this, please like and subscribe to the channel. I have several other incredible American sports tragedies to share, and subscribers won't miss a single one. Tragedy number 1, 1970. The Marshall University plane. Crash when an entire football program died in one night. Picture this. November 14, 1970, Huntington, West Virginia. The Marshall University Thundering Herd had just suffered a devastating 17-14 loss to East Carolina University. It wasn't the season they wanted. They were struggling that year with a 3-6 record, but these 37 young men were still living the American dream. College football players representing their schools, their families, the entire community that rallied around Saturday games and tailgate parties. They weren't just athletes. They were sons, boyfriends, future husbands, and fathers. Rick Tolley, just 29, was the head coach trying to rebuild the program. Bobby Joe Hill, a second-year quarterback with NFL dreams. Nate Ruffin, a veteran defensive back studying to become a teacher. The entire coaching staff was there. 5 dedicated men who had dedicated their lives to molding young minds through football, working 16-hour days and earning teachers' salaries because they loved the game. 25 supporters were also on that plane. Local businessmen like Dr. Ray Hagley, a team doctor who never missed a game. Charlie Couts, who owned a local restaurant and fed the players for free. Alumni like Art Harris, who played for Marshall in the 1940s. These were community leaders who bled green and white for the Thundering Herd, who organized fundraisers, who opened their homes to recruits, who made Marshall football possible through sheer passion. 75 souls in total, all returning home after cheering on their team on a cold, rainy night in North Carolina. They had no idea they were flying into the darkest moment in American sports history. Southern Airways Flight 932, a chartered DC-9, was making its final approach to Tri-State Airport in Huntington when the unthinkable happened. At 7:36 p.m., just 2 miles from safety, the plane hit the treetops and crashed into a hillside. In an instant, Marshall University lost nearly its entire football program. It remains the worst plane crash in NCAA sports history. But here's what makes it even more painful. The crash didn't just kill 75 people. It shattered the dreams of an entire city that lived and breathed Thundering Herd football. The tragedy left Marshall with only 9 players. The program was nearly shut down forever. But the community refused to let their boys die in vain. They rebuilt from scratch, creating one of the most inspiring comeback stories in sports history. The 2006 film We Are Marshall told their story, but the real-life pain and recovery were far more brutal than any Hollywood script could capture. Tragedy number 2, 1979, the American Airlines Flight 191. Disaster when Chicago's sporting heroes could have been wiped off. This one will give you chills thinking about how close we came to losing some of America's greatest athletes. May 25, 1979, Memorial Day weekend. O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. American Airlines Flight 191 was preparing for what should have been a routine flight to Los Angeles. The scary part is that the flight was packed with people heading to Los Angeles for business and vacation, including several prominent Chicago sports figures and their families. We're talking athletes, coaches, sports executives, and media personalities who were part of the Chicago sports empire during one of its golden eras. At 3:02 p.m. during takeoff, the DC-10's left engine completely separated from the wing. The plane rolled over, crashed, and exploded in a fireball seconds after takeoff. 273 people died, all 271 on board, plus 2 on the ground. This remains the deadliest aviation disaster in American history. But here's what makes this a sports tragedy that still haunts the United States. Among the victims were several people deeply connected to Chicago sports, including team executives and major sports sponsors traveling for business meetings. Even more frightening is the realization of how many Chicago sports legends could have been on that exact flight. The Bears were in their off-seasons. The Bulls and Blackhawks had already concluded their seasons, and many athletes and coaches regularly flew that same route to Los Angeles for business, sponsorship meetings, and off-season opportunities. The accident led to the grounding of every DC-10 worldwide and revolutionary changes in aviation safety that protect every sports team flying today. Charter flight protocols, engine inspection requirements, emergency response procedures, all written in the blood of those 273 victims. Every time you see your favorite NFL team's charter plane land safely after a cross-country game, every time a college team returns from a bowl game without incident, give thanks to the 273 souls who died so that aviation could become safer for all our sports heroes. Tragedy number 3, 2001. September 11th, when American sports stopped and athletes became heroes. It's not just about sports, it changed America forever. But September 11th, 2001, created one of the most profound sports tragedies in our history. Not through a single event, but through the complete paralysis of American athletics and the athletes we lost. Picture this. It was a beautiful Tuesday morning. NFL teams were gearing up for Week 2, MLB was in the final stretch of its season, and college football was in full swing. Then, at 8:46 a.m., the first plane hit the World Trade Center, and American sports, like everything else, came to a complete halt. But the world of sports didn't stop there. It lost heroes. We lost athletes working in the Twin Towers, coaches on executive flights, sports executives in meetings at the Pentagon. The exact number of sports-related victims isn't fully known, as many victims' connections to athletics weren't immediately documented amid the chaos. What makes this a sports tragedy is how it revealed the soul of American athletics. Players like Pat Tillman eventually left the NFL to serve their country. Stadiums became places of mourning and unity. That year's World Series wasn't just baseball. It was America proving it wouldn't be shaken. When baseball returned, when football resumed, when sports came back to life, it wasn't just entertainment that returned. It was the American spirit that refused to die. The image of President Bush throwing out the first pitch at Yankee Stadium wasn't just ceremonial. It was defiance. Sports became the therapy that helped heal a traumatized nation. Every game, every touchdown, every home run became an act of resistance against those who sought to destroy our spirit. These aren't just sports statistics or ancient history. These are the moments that defined what American athletics truly means. It's not just about wins and losses, touchdowns and home runs. It's about communities, families, dreams, and the courage to keep playing even after the worst possible defeats. The Marshall Thundering Herd plays every game for its 75 fallen heroes. Aviation security protocols protect all the team's charter flights in honor of Flight 191. American sports proved their unbreakable spirit after 9/11. Every time you cheer in a stadium, remember that American sports have survived tragedies that could have destroyed them completely. The games continue because heroes have died, communities have been rebuilt, and the American spirit has refused to surrender. Sports aren't just entertainment. They're proof that we can overcome anything together. So that's it. See you next time.